Pep Guardiola recently said that perfection does not exist in football. He then went and put in a performance like that. His team then went and delivered a stunning performance like that. Like, they didn't only beat Real Madrid, they annihilated Real Madrid. And let's remember, Real Madrid have won 14 European Cups. This is the establishment. And Manchester City have just annihilated them. And as a result, Manchester City are going to the Champions League final. Real Madrid's grip on this trophy has finally slipped. And do you know what I take from this? Do you know what my overriding feeling from watching that dominating display at the Etihad? The treble is well and truly on. Like, the treble is actually, in my opinion now, more likely to happen than not. I now see a world where the treble happening is the most obvious, most likely outcome. That is so ridiculous. But it's also a testament to the brilliance of this Man City team and the qualities that Pep Guardiola exudes. I think it's fair to say, if the treble doesn't happen, it's a shock. If Manchester City do not make football history, it's a shock. If Manchester City do not make football history next season by winning the Premier League for a record 4th time, I will be shocked. What we are witnessing here is one of the greatest teams ever assembled. Like I said at the start of this review, Pep Guardiola said perfection doesn't exist. And we have just witnessed perfection. You will not see a more scintillating performance than that. It's impossible. You will not see a more dominating performance than that. They were simply exceptional. And let's remember, they were this exceptional in their most difficult test. In fact, I think it's fair to say that that is the biggest game ever played in that stadium. That is the most difficult, most majestic occasion that Manchester City have ever faced in their modern guise. And look at how they dismantled that team. Look at the ease with which they beat them. 4-0, 5-1 on aggregate against Real Madrid. Off the back of slapping Bayern Munich. 3-0, Bernardo Silva's bullet header. Thomas Tuchel in the opposition dugout. This team are great. And I think that the word great is often overused in our everyday parlance. We talk about it too much. Everything's great. This is great. That's great. I'm talking about the true definition of the word. This Manchester City team, we are witnessing greatness. This is elite. This is football on a different plane. This is football from another planet. Like, the way that Manchester City played, particularly in that first half, there isn't a team in the world that could have coped with them. I think you could actually even go further. There isn't a team that has ever existed that would be able to cope with the way that Manchester City played in that first half. It's one of the greatest 45 minutes that you will see. The way that they looked after the ball. Like, I was genuinely forgetting who was playing at the back for City. We didn't see Ederson in the first half. He didn't feature. Karim Benzema was a spectator. It was so dominating. The chances created, there could have been more goals. There was a fantastic save from Courtois from an Erling Haaland header. I thought there was a chance very early where Rodri could have done better. And it was just perfection. Perfection on a football pitch. And we could see at the end how much it meant to both City's fans, but also the players. You know, Erling Haaland was there dancing with a Norwegian flag wrapped around him. Apparently it's National Norwegian Day. So he's celebrating Happy Norwegian Day by seeing his team and partly guiding his team into a European final. What an amazing moment. What an amazing performance. And, I mean, the celebration, they're going to have to get used to celebrating, because the celebrations could be happening again on Saturday. Like, if they beat Chelsea, they're going to win the league. I think there's a game earlier in the day, isn't there? If Forest beat Arsenal, they're going to be celebrating again. So there's a world where City could be celebrating by not even having to beat Chelsea. They could be crowned champions without having to beat us. And I mean, let's hope that happens. Hopefully they take their foot off the gas, because I think if they have to beat Chelsea in order to be crowned champions, there's no way that they won't do it. You know, Bernardo Silva's already spoken about this. His desire to keep winning, his desire to keep the momentum going, and his desire to make sure that they secure 3 points against us. So it's truly disastrous for everybody else concerned here because this form is just unbelievable. The way that Real Madrid were taken apart. And when you think about doing it to Real, like Real are the definition of never say die, aren't they? They are the very definition of a never say die attitude. And we saw it last season. Like, in order to end Real Madrid, you have to effectively cut their head off. That's what you have to do. Because there were times in last season's competition, in fact against City, when Grealish thought he'd scored, they didn't end the game. They should have won the first leg, and they didn't, and they ended up going out. Real Madrid ended up getting to the final and winning the competition because Man City didn't go for the jugular. They did not make that mistake today. They went for the jugular. They were ruthless in front of goal. They were stingy and miserly at the back. And they were basically perfection. They were about as perfect as you could be. I mean, as a football experience, that's about as good as it gets. I mean, Guardiola joked recently, didn't he, about his legacy? I mean, he said that it's exceptional. Sounds arrogant. But when you actually think about it, it's no vain claim at all, is it? Of course it is. Of course it's exceptional. When you compare Pep Guardiola to other managers now, I think he's in a tier of his own. I think he's not quite comparable to a Sir Alex Ferguson, but he's clearly better than any of the others that we have seen in this league. He's clearly far more dominant than Jose Mourinho ever was. He's clearly far more dominant than Arsene Wenger ever was, and clearly far more dominant than Jurgen Klopp. It's exceptional, and his legacy will only be added to by winning a Champions League again. And it's getting to the stage now where not only do you think they're going to win the Champions League, but it's 3 successive league titles, 1 win away from winning the FA Cup, 1 win away from winning the Champions League. They're favourites for the Premier League next season. That would be 4 in a row. That would be 6 in 7 years. They are truly outstanding. And I think it's important that occasionally we subtract the rivalry and just appreciate what we're witnessing. Look, I don't want them to win it. I desperately want Inter Milan to win it. And I will be praying to the gods that Paul Ince, Juan Sebastian Veron, Walter Samuel, Javier Zanetti, I am talking to you, my friends. Please, please help us avoid this destination that is a Manchester City treble. But they're overwhelming. I feel like they're going to do it. And I don't think anybody can stop them because we are witnessing genuine greatness. The game is on the 10th of June. Obviously, Inter Milan have got there, and it's weirdly going to be the first time that these two teams have ever faced one another. It's going to be the first time that these teams have ever come up against one another. So it will be very, very interesting to see how it all pans out. But on the evidence that we saw tonight, Inter will not be able to cope against what is emerging as the greatest club side to have ever existed. That is what this team are. And, I mean, we know how good City are going to be. And I feel like going into this final, it is the amount of jeopardy in it. It just doesn't feel like it's there. But huge credit to Manchester City and congratulations to Man City fans. I don't think they've had any greater European nights in this competition than this one. That is the greatest European night in the modern competition that Manchester City have ever had. They were totally dominant. They demolished the opposition. And the opposition that they demolished was arguably the greatest manager to have ever lived. Someone who broke a record, won the title in 5 different countries. And Real Madrid. A Real Madrid team including Modric, Benzema, Kroos. Sensational. Thank you for watching this video. Would you do me a favour? If you are still watching, please do click the subscriber button. It would be my honour to welcome you into this community. And please let me know your reasons in the comments below how Inter Milan can somehow beat this Manchester City juggernaut. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful night.